Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for waiting. We were just making sure we have enough people who have joined us, and I can see that we have about more than 250 people. We had a lot of registrations for this webinar, so just want to make sure you guys don't miss that out. But thank you again for joining us for this webinar. I guess we'll give it a start then. Just making sure we have enough people. Okay, Scott, I see you there now. Trying to get Asya as well. Okay, we'll give it a start now, and I guess we'll leave for others to join in as we go along. I can perhaps cover housekeeping meanwhile, and that would help. Welcome and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us again for this webinar, Empowering Teachers with Next Generation PD Resources with LINC. And it's a very interesting topic and a much needed discussion, to be honest, given the current education dynamics, I would say. Today, we've partnered with LINC, our new partners, or should I say Learning Innovation Catalyst. We will be talking about what are the next gen PD resources and showcasing our award-winning platform LINC. Before I move on, I just want to make sure my audio is okay. So there's a hand icon at the bottom of your screen. If you can just press that hand icon for me, I would know that that's fine and we're covered. Excellent, lots of hands going up there. Super. Okay, so the other thing I want to cover is quickly, we've got our moderators for today, or should I say host, that's me, Sarish, I'm the marketing manager for EMEA, and Hamad, who's the head of marketing for EMEA again. And we will be there in the background to support you if with any questions you have, or if you have any technical difficulties, please feel free to shoot that out over to us. We also want to help out and keep this session very engaging with Scott and Asya, and they're here with us today. We want to make the most of it. So try to be as engaged as you can with us. Tell us what you're looking for and how we can make that work out for you. So we'll be there in the background to help you out. A couple of housekeeping slides just to make sure you're all settled and we're having a seamless experience. When you get into the Zoom meeting, just make sure you're connected to the audio. And if you're facing any connectivity issues with the audio, we do recommend you can use the call-in function from your phone. Although I think we checked that earlier and fairly a large amount if you can hear my voice, so that's fine, we're sorted. We also recommend that you close down any high networking apps such as Netflix, YouTube, or any gaming platform. Because this will affect the bandwidth of your webinar. You can see other attendees. You will be only seeing your name, but if you select the option panelists and attendees in the drop-down for chat, you will be able to engage with your peers and other audience, and you can see the comments and chat function. We will be covering the Q&A in the end, so you're free to shoot out the questions to us, and we will cover that out towards the end. The recording will be shared via email, so we'll send you the recording of this webinar, and you'll also get a certificate for this webinar if you've attended the live version. Like I said, you can't unmute your mic, I'm sorry, and the video for this particular webinar, but you should be able to chat with each other using the chat box, join the discussion, share your thoughts, and also please feel free to drop any questions that you have for us. We're happy to help out. And I guess I don't want to take more of my time than that was allotted. So I'm going to pass over to Scott and stop sharing my screen. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the session. Okay, Scott.
All right. 1 second here. There we go, Suresh.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Make myself just a little bigger here. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you. What's that? Afternoon. Yes, I'm coming to you from just west of Philadelphia, so I'm a little time zone challenged this morning. My apologies. So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Scott Noon. I work for the Learning Innovation Catalyst, and I'm here to present to you the future of professional learning today. When the founders of Learning Innovation Catalyst got together to start this company, one of the big problems of practice that we wanted to take a look at was, how do you create teacher professional development that actually improves, changes, shifts, translates to classroom practice? Around the globe, billions of dollars are spent every year on teacher professional development. Yet researchers tell us that almost none of that training actually makes its way into classroom practice. Quite often, educators like yourselves are frustrated with PD because it's one size fits all. I like to use the expression, it's spray and pray. They give out lots of information and they pray that you get it and apply it in your classroom. But generally, it doesn't meet the needs of all the teachers. My wife, who's a reading specialist, for example, was frequently forced to attend PD where they talked about the new math curriculum. Didn't do her one lick of good. And so for the goal of today is to look at new strategies to make teacher professional development. So somebody couldn't hear my voice, so I was just checking my audio. It sounds like, can others hear my voice if you raise your hand?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic, thank you. So the goal of LINC was to make teacher PD more relevant and have more power to shape practice. In other words, we wanted to move from the informative realm to the transformative realm. Not just where I'm going to sit and get a lot of information, but rather where you're going to teach me how to shift my practice to the next level, or how to go from one size fits all to personalized, so that the PD actually honors my skills, honors my expertise, recognizes that I don't have the same learning needs as everyone else. By the way, this is the same thing we teachers do in classrooms, right? We recognize the individualized learning needs of all of our students. And so in our search to work on this, we came across a great professor by the name of Dr. Arnitha Ball. And Dr. Ball is at Stanford University. She's a researcher there, and she's the author of the model of generative change. Now, the model of generative change, for those of you who are new to that, is super interesting. Now I'm going to bounce back to the other side of the screen. And the model of generative change actually begins with metacognitive awareness. This is about doing work in culturally and linguistically complex classrooms. So we know that places where all of you are teaching, kids come from families with different language backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, and so being able to reach into those children's lives with a strong pedagogical focus takes some high level of skill. So her model of generative change begins with metacognitive awareness. And you know metacognition, right? It's being able to reflect on practice, or as Dr. Philip Schlechte likes to call it, working on the work. I'm thinking about the work of teaching. The reason we do this is because in Dr. Ball's model, metacognitive awareness begins with teachers realizing that I have the opportunity to grow. I can try some new things. I actually want to try new things. I realize that I'm not meeting all the needs of all of my students all of the time. So how do I get there? And metacognitive awareness also starts to ask the question, what's in it for me? Why is it better for me to try a new thing when what I've been doing for so long has been working pretty well? why should I try new skills? So what's in it for me? Or this whole process. Dr. Ball likes to remind me that you can't change teachers' practices until you shift mindset, shift their thinking about who they are and what their role is as educators. The reality is that most teachers think of themselves as content deliverers. I'm here to deliver the content. The students are here to learn the content, and that's the relationship we have. When in reality, teachers would be better served thinking of themselves as instructional designers. I'm here to design learning experiences for my students, which may or may not include me delivering the content. Does that make sense? So we're going to do a reflective process to get teachers thinking about what's their role, how do I get better at what I'm doing, how do I get great at the craft of teaching. The second stage of Dr. Ball's model is this thing called ideological becoming and internalization. And under ideological becoming is when a teacher gets a glimpse that he or she can actually be a different kind of teacher. Try something new. Ideological becoming means you have an idea about becoming something different. So a moment ago, I proposed that teachers should consider themselves as instructional designers. And that is my job as an educator is to create learning experiences that meet the needs of all of my students and that help my kids get through the learning material that they need to acquire. So maybe it's not necessary for me to deliver all the curriculum. For example, I could do a flipped classroom and record something and students could get the information that way. Maybe my students could actually learn some of the material from some web-based content, whether it be from a learning management system, whether it be from one of your McGraw Hill curriculum, like Inspire Science or ALEX, for example, or whether it be from other recordings that you found of teachers online who are giving the same workshop that you want to give your kids. So ideological becoming is allowing a teacher to think about teaching in new ways. And then internalization is the time it takes for you to internalize or to train yourself to become familiar with, to get comfortable with these new skills. Just like a woodworker or a tradesperson, for example, takes time to perfect their craft. It takes time to internalize all these new skills. Same thing is true for teachers. Internalizing is the time that it takes you to put those things into practice. And then finally, generativity. Dr. Ball likes to tell us that generativity, in that stage, teachers, educators become pedagogical problem solvers. Pedagogical problem solvers are educators who are reflecting on their practice constantly. They're thinking about the needs of their students. They're thinking about the learning objectives they're trying to communicate to their students. They're creating and designing learning experiences, and they're analyzing what works, what doesn't work. They're actually doing what we call action research over and over and over again in their classroom until they've perfected and they continue to perfect and continuously improve the learning model of what they're doing in the classroom. So that is Dr. Ball's model. Now, in the platform you're about to see in Linkspring, we've actually taken that approach one step further, and we've put it into what's called Reflect, Tinker, Grow methodology. So reflect is the metacognition. It's where you begin thinking about your practice. Through some questions that you're about to see on the platform, you get a chance to ask yourself some key questions to get you inspired to think about new approaches and new strategies. And then form to try new things. We're going to try, as part of my lesson this coming Thursday, I'm going to try a new skill. And I've planned for that. I've built it into my lesson plan. I have the resources prepared that I need. I know how to structure my classroom. I know how to introduce this to the students. So I've got a whole plan together. That's what happens in Tinker. And then finally, the next step is to put it into action. Part of Tinker is it's not enough to just plan it, right? It's like you plan a wedding or you plan to make dinner, but if you don't actually have the wedding or put the dinner on the table, it's pointless. So a lot of teacher PD is about tinkering, but they never have to put it into action. So let's put it in the court and put it into play. And then finally, the last stage is grow. And in the grow process, educators are invited to reflect about what worked, what didn't work, how can we get better, how do we think about what we want to do next, how did it go, what kids got engaged, what kids didn't get engaged, how do I make sure that everyone is engaged? So that's the Reflect, Tinker, Grow model. And so we've actually built PD around this research. It's a research-based platform that allows you to improve your practice and to shift from the one size fits all to personalized learning for each of your kids, each of your students. And I'll show you how we do that in the demonstration this afternoon. So why do we use this platform? What do you use Linkspring for? Well, one is a one-on-one coaching cycle. So as we're working with our peers or those of you who are heads of school working with your faculty, and you want to coach people and help them improve their skills, or maybe your job is an instructional coach or technology coordinator. So you're wanting to learn how do I coach all of these teachers that I have a relationship with, and how do I help them? Well, you can use this platform for a coaching experience. The next thing is for small group support, coach-supported PLCs. Now, PLC stands for Professional Learning Community. In the United States, Doug Reeves made this really popular a number of years ago, but Professional Learning Community, the philosophy behind PLCs is that a rising tide lifts all boats. So when teachers work together, we hold each other accountable, we're learning together, we're asking each other, how did it go in your classroom when we tried this? What's your plan look like? How did you answer this reflection question? So when we work together, teachers actually get more out of the professional learning. Besides, we know that teachers are fairly social and they really enjoy the time they do get to spend together. And so Linkspring is the perfect thing for bringing professional learning communities to life, whether that be a grade level team. If you don't think of yourselves as having professional learning communities, you may have some other ways that you think about it in your school. You might call it a grade level team. You might have a department meeting, like all the English teachers or all the math teachers. Or you may have skill-based PLCs, either way, like for example, for new teachers. Using this with small group PLCs is an excellent way to get gains across larger groups of teachers. And our best implementations are when educators do this work together. And finally, the third is to do a large group workshop. And this is a great way because many teachers have not experienced blended learning. What does blended learning look like? And because teachers often teach the way they were taught, it's great to give them new experiences, and we'll teach you how to use this in a large group environment. It's a little hard to do today, for example, over Zoom, but you can do this through blended learning. Now, with that, I am going to switch over and share my other screen, and we're going to take a look at the Linkspring platform. And by the way, if at any point you have any questions, please feel free to make a note in the chat, in the Q&A, or in the chat room, either one. And my colleague Asia is here. She's capably answering all of the questions along with Suresh and Hamad. So please feel free to ask away. Now, when you first log in to Linkspring, you'll see a pop-up, this white pop-up here. It says, we invite you to make your personalized playlist, and you click on the button and you answer a number of questions about culture, capacity, learning, and technology. These are part of the LINC roadmap. Culture has to do with school culture, but it also has to do with classroom culture for teachers. Where are you in thinking about the culture you've set up in your classroom? The second is capacity, or do you consider yourself more introductory? Are you middle level? Or I understand already about blended learning and I'm just tweaking my skills. And then going on to learning, which strategies would you like to know more about? So grab one of those. And technology really isn't about like laptops or hardware. It's about what kind of tools do you have access to? And so based on that, I'm going to skip this and take you to my playlist. And my playlist is over here on page 4. And the playlist is created through an algorithm in the platform and gives you 4 cycles that are aligned to the needs that I just laid out, that I said I wanted to learn more about. Now, why do we do this? Well, first of all, it's modeling personalization. We're trying to not do one size fits all PD. We're trying to actually align professional learning to your needs, right? So the survey at the beginning allows you to get an introductory playlist. The second is to, the other reason is because if you go in here and look at the list of cycles, and by the way, we call our content cycles because remember in the little diagram that I showed you, as reflect, tinker, grow, you saw a circle building on the left side. Or anytime we go through the reflect, tinker, grow process, that's a learning cycle. And so the learning cycle is what we call each of the modules. The modules are about 2 hours of PD. And if you look down here, you'll see there's more than 10 pages and there's 12 on a page. We have actually 86 cycles, most of which are available in both English and Spanish. And so those are there and available for your instructional team. So as not to overwhelm people, we begin by giving everybody 4 cycles to start on. Does that make sense? Because otherwise you wouldn't have a clue as to where to begin. Now, the other way to find something you might want is to just search by the topic up here in the top bar. And today I'm going to look at a cycle on remote learning. So I typed in remote. There's a bunch of resources, community pages, posts, playlists, but I'm going to use this cycle here called Shifting to Remote Learning. Now, what happens in a cycle? So all the cycles look like this. They have a title up top with the learning objective. I'm just going to scroll down, and then you'll see this big purple guide guides us around the platform when we're new, so you turn it off. And but what it does, the first thing is what's called the Spark video, and then down below it in the 3 blue boxes, reflect, tinker, grow. You'd never know it, but that's why I do the background for you. Reflect, tinker, grow is 15 years of Stanford research, and there's a real methodology behind it. So, but we're going to start with the Spark video. And in the Spark video, we get a little bit of mindset shifting happening. Why do I want to learn about this skill?
Hello, and welcome to this Linkspring cycle about how to shift to remote learning. Those were the voices of my niece and nephew. And like many of you out there, I'm at home working with kids who are not in school. It's a bit of a circus around here. So let's get right to what we are here to do. Design instruction for remote learning that is just as engaging, innovative, and academically rigorous as our in-person instruction.
So I'm not going to play that whole thing, but Spark videos are all just short. They're really short, 3 minutes long. And they do a little bit of a, what's in it for me? Why do I care about this? Mindset shifting. This is, why is this important? So following the video, we drop down and we get started on reflect. And reflect is just a number of questions to get your brain in gear around this remote learning topic to help you think about some critical subjects. Now, here's shifting to remote learning. And I know a number of teachers who wish they had this cycle back on March 17th when schools in my area closed. So the first question is, what in-person activities or routines are most important to maintain in the remote learning environment? Now, this is interesting because most teachers' first thought was, how do I deliver the content while I'm out of the classroom? Am I going to use Google Classroom? Am I going to use Zoom? They're all worried about content development. Well, one of the things that we miss is there are a whole lot of structures, social structures that you've created in your classroom, routines and so forth, procedures, that somehow also have to be maintained in the remote environment. So how do we think about that? So what in-person activities or routines? And then from that question, what's your top priority, and select ways to adapt that to remote? How are you going to do that? Will I use a digital tool? Will I adjust the outcome? Will I survey students, and so forth? And so here we go. Now we're thinking about those routines. And we get down to this big graphic that pops up a lot during Reflect. And this is called the PAC. The PAC is a proprietary framework that we use here at LINC to think about the hallmarks of really high quality blended learning. So the high quality blended learning looks like this. It has PAC spelled P-A-A-C-C. P stands for personalization. What are we doing to give students a personalized experience? Does that mean you have to design 30 different lessons for 30 different kids? No, but what it does mean is that you can give kids agency. Agency is an opportunity to make choice over how I learn in terms of path and pace. Do I have to go through the content the same way as all the other kids do? Or if I know some of this stuff, can I zoom ahead? So giving students agency and control and ownership over their learning is a really high quality remote learning standard, a remote learning approach. Second, authenticity. Are we giving kids authentic learning experiences? For example, are they learning the way that you and I might learn as adults or real world people? For example, many times teachers give students writing assignments. And who sees the writing assignments? Just the teacher. And the teacher's got to grade all those. And well, maybe we should think about posting students' writing to public places like student journals or something online where kids might get feedback from parents, or people who log into your classroom website see all kinds of content that kids have wrote and give kids feedback. Authentic experiences means that when we learn the area of a rectangle, we might measure the yard outside to calculate square feet or square yards. And then how do you convert between square feet and square yards? Instead of just learning that 3 by 4 on a piece of paper is 12 square, you know what I'm saying. Authentic learning experiences. The third area is connectivity. Connectivity, wow. You got kids on learning online, which is a huge advancement over just learning in classroom, because you can actually connect to experts. You know what? I'm going to tell you a secret. Every expert in every content area, well, most of them anyway, are working from home, especially during the pandemic. So why not ask those content experts to drop into your classroom or work with your kids for 10 or 15 minutes and help them to connect? It's just not about teachers and students connecting, but it's also about how do you plan for students to connect to each other, students to connect with content experts, how do I talk with global people and get access to that? So connectivity is really key. And the last is creativity. So many times teachers will resort to that 4-choice, multiple choice test as a means of assessment. There are creative ways that we can do that, or creative ways to go through the learning. So for example, if I ask students to build a PowerPoint, that's a real authentic task. You and I do that all the time. And having kids express what they learn and what they find out and share it with each other offers students opportunity for agency, authenticity, all. So just some ideas to get you thinking here. So the PAC is a way we invite teachers constantly to reflect on their practice. So reflection. Next is tinker. So remember I told you in the run-up that tinker is about planning. It's about designing what we're going to do with our students. And so in this one on building planning, we're going to build a remote learning Hyperdoc. And a Hyperdoc is really nothing but a document that's got a whole bunch of planning links. And I'm going to click out to a couple of good ones out here. And I'm going to go to a multi-subject weekly planner, for example. And here are my lessons for the week. Day 1, day 2, day 3, 4, 5, and each of my curriculum areas. Now, if your school is more advanced and you're integrating, great. You don't need to block this way. That's totally fine. This is just an example used by some folks. And so, and it's not very well filled out, I must say. So read 20 minutes, complete your reading log on Google Classroom, and take your benchmark assessment. So these would all be hyperlinked back to the Google Classroom or to your LMS or maybe to some tools that you have where students turn in the work. Or kids have created a Google Doc where they are doing a running reading log in a Google Doc, and they connect their reading log to your assignment so that you can see it. So here's an example of lesson planning. Now, the reason I want to say a couple of things about this. One, the reason this is highly effective PD is because teachers, you know that you've got to do lesson planning anyway, right? And so Michael Fullan, the great Canadian researcher, once said, the closer that professional development gets to teacher lesson planning, the more effective it becomes. Because you got, you know, teachers don't want to think of PD as extra work. They want it to be part of the daily work that they're doing anyway. So these kinds of templates and tools that live in Linkspring are there for teachers to use over and over and over and over again. And if you like this template, great. If you don't like this template, that's fine. There's 10 more for you to choose from. But every Tinker template is designed for this reason. I like to think of Tinker templates, if you will, as training wheels for a bicycle. If you were a lucky child to have a bicycle, you probably also got training wheels. You also had training wheels on your bicycle. And the training wheels, what do they do? Let's write in the chat. What are the training wheels for? Training wheels are to keep you upright, to keep you safe, right? Get used to balancing. That's exactly right, Mena. So there's for support, help beginners to learn, all of those great things. Training wheels actually are proven to help a bicycle learner to accelerate their ability to learn to ride a bicycle. Why? Because you're spending less time falling down and getting up, falling down and getting up. You're actually going to develop balance. Remember the skill that Dr. Ball had in there was called internalizing. Internalizing the skill of balance and pedaling takes time, and the training wheels help do that. And they help accelerate your ability to try and do new things. So that's exactly what Tinker templates are designed to do. You download them, you fill them out, you upload them, and it puts it into your virtual portfolio, because one of the things that's happening in the background is every time you do this, you're building a portfolio of professional practice as well. So I'm going to close that. And that's what Tinker is all about. And then finally, the last is called Grow. So this is the post-reflection. And now that you have planned a week, what remote strategy would you like to try next? Well, I want to try playlists. Well, little does this person know they actually just did a playlist, right? That sheet that I just showed you was a playlist. So they're going to get good at and learning about playlists and how do I work with that for kids? Why? Because I can make 3 or 4 different kinds of playlists, and I can even actually make different playlists for my special needs students. And if I got students who really want a lot of agency, they'll know that they can skip around. You know, back here on this template, I was a math kid, right? I loved math. So when I got my weekly assignment like this, I would have sat down and I would have done the whole week's worth of math first, because I'd loved that and I'd eaten it up, and I just used my agency and I did all my math on the first day. And I did, most of my other work too, being the overachiever that I am. But the fact that I was allowed and I could, I might start with the other content and then do my reading later. Me, I started with the math. And so this is a great way to help kids have agency. So I'm going to learn playlists. Where do I think I'm going to need help with virtual meetings and conferences? What are some ways to address areas where you need some more support and so forth? So that is the reflect, tinker, grow process. Very simple, very easy to help you do it. Now, when you're done, we hope you are going to post it to the discussion board, because remember we said earlier, rising tide lifts all boats and professional learning communities were the way to go. Well, sharing your lessons through the discussion board helps teachers to learn from each other. So share what you've designed, see what others have designed, steal the best stuff that they've got and borrow. This is what great educators do. We pay each other honor by stealing their stuff. And or borrowing, we'll call it borrowing, and professional borrowing. And we can use that to perfect our lesson planning. Now down here are some extra helps. My wife is one of those people who's a little tech reticent, just a little reticent to try new things in her classroom. She's been a teacher for 30 years, and now if she's going to try something new, she's going to want to feel armor plated. She's going to want to feel like she's got this fully under control. And so she would spend 200 hours now Googling the internet, trying to find the best stuff to learn about her strategy that she's going to use for remote learning. So our team's already done that for you. Our expert coaches have gone through the web, they found the best resources, and they've shared them right here. And so teachers don't have to spend hours Googling for more information. And then down here below, there's some videos, additional videos on the web. On the lower right-hand corner, you'll see things like standards. So you'll see technology standards, ISTE standards. You'll find a glossary of terms like digital learning environment and what's a playlist and those kinds of things. So there's a pop-up glossary here. All of this is wonderful, and there are 86 different cycles you can choose from. Now I'm going to take you for a second just out to the website, because I know one of the questions is you're thinking, what are all of these cycles about? What are you going to train my teachers to do? Okay, so our website is linklearning.com, and Asi is going to put this for you in the chat. And Link Learning is, we're Learning Innovation Catalyst. We abbreviate and call ourselves Link. And but under Linkspring, the second one down is Linkspring Learning Libraries. And over here, you can see the content that's available through our libraries. So Asi, if you put the libraries link in there as well, you'll see new releases, new cycles, intro to remote learning, hybrid remote learning pedagogy, different kinds of tools, project-based learning skills, teacher mindset and capacity training, blended classroom environment, culture, PAC, more stuff on PAC, some stuff on assessment. You'll see that there are actually 3 libraries. The first one we call the Linkspring Essentials, and then there's a racial equity library, and there's one on Catlin Tucker's new book, which is called Balance with Blended Learning. And so this is a great library as well. So these are all various cycles. There's over 100 if you use all 3 libraries that you can choose from for your folks. So I invite you to take a look at that. Now I'm going to go back to Linkspring for just a minute, because there's a couple of features that I have not gone over yet that are super critical. One is down here in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see this thing says need support, message our team, a blue button. And I'm going to click on it, and it pops open a messaging system. Now, Link has a team of expert educators who are here supporting you. You'll see them in a minute doing that. They also do workshops, but right now I'm going to use this feature, and I can't talk and type at the same time, so I'm going to pretend. Are you ready? So I'm trying to build a lesson around combining fractions with unlike denominators. What tool do you recommend that I use in my classroom? and I can click send, and it goes off to a coach. And it comes back up here in my little message center. And so I want to say a couple things about Ask a Coach. It's free. It's included with the license. You can ask for all the help you want. Second, it's not real-time chat. It is a messaging system. It functions a lot like email. The messaging system, the messages, your messages, along with all the other 30,000 subscribers on Linkspring, goes into a queue, and first come, first served, and the coaches start hammering through those every day. Usually it takes a couple of hours to get an answer. The other thing, so when I get an answer, here's an important announcement from Carolyn Hanser about Black History Month and inviting teachers to participate in a Flipgrid. So there are always things coming through the messaging system. We have this thing on Monday called Mindset Mondays to help keep teachers focused and energized. But the messaging system is real help. A lot of times when you're trying something new, don't you hate it when you just had a really great workshop with a speaker, they came in for the day and they got on a plane and went home. Now you're trying to figure out how to implement the stuff they told you, and they're gone. Further, they're so famous and well-known, they're too busy to answer your email, and there's only one of them. So this is a way to help you get unstuck when you're trying something new. And we all know that as we're trying new things, we can get stuck sometimes. So over here on the left, you see the dashboard. The dashboard is where my personal portfolio is. Here I am, and these are all the cycles I have lined up for myself. Somebody went crazy and added a whole lot of them here. You've already seen the cycles library. Playlist is just a collection of any group of cycles. So you can create your own playlist for your teams. You'll notice, I'm going to switch over here in a second. Community is where all of the message boards are, and then your settings. So I'm going to switch now and look at it as a leader. I'm going to switch as a coach, because a couple new tools are going to pop up. So the dashboard is no longer my personal portfolio, but as a leader, I'm looking at, okay, how many cycles are my teachers using? What are they involved in? There's 552 users, average of 4.8 cycles, the hours, 12 hours a piece have been spent in here. Here are my top cycles. Collaborative class contract is the most popular cycle amongst my teachers. So these are great tools to help you do that. Also, if I'm working with educators and I want to see what they're doing, I can go in through the coaching tool, and the coaching tool gives me access to my teachers' portfolios so that I can support them. So here we are, for example, and I'm going to choose Asia Grimes. And Asia has a pretty extensive portfolio. She's worked on 8 different cycles. Most of them, this one, she only did the beginning, the pre-cycle, reflect, 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 and grow. Look at that. She did reflect and grow, but didn't upload Tinker. So I wonder if she shortcutted and didn't do the Tinker, or if she just had trouble uploading. So let's give her the benefit of the doubt. And we're going to reach out to her and say, Asia, I noticed that you did reflect and grow, but didn't do the Tinker in the middle. Did you have trouble with the Tinker assignment? Did you have difficulty uploading? How can I help you? Right? So the messaging system also works for leaders. So coaches can get it, and you can actually see individual responses. So if you're a school leader and you're thinking about getting Linkspring for your school, you're going to be able to see all of the data here. Furthermore, when you go into cycles, like I'm going to do collaborative class contract just for a second. When I get in here into this cycle, when you're a leader, it turns on another tool. So see here, I'm in the reflect, and if I click on it, I'll get reflect. But if I go up here in the left corner, there's a data icon. If I click there, I can actually see, okay, there have been 12 different responses from my team, and here are their answers. And when I go over, I get a pie chart. I get different charts looking at their answers in terms of what did they share. So this is great for a leader. Now, in addition to the 86 cycles, all 3 libraries, more than 100 cycles, we had lots of teachers who said, you know what, I really love my coach, A. B, I also really miss workshops. I actually kind of like them. For me, they're akin to having a trainer at the gym. Sure, I can go to the gym every day, but when there's somebody waiting there for me and they're pushing me, I'm likely to dig a little deeper. Okay, so we have created this thing called Linkspring Live. It's part of Linkspring. And Linkspring is live and recorded learning events to keep you soaring. So here you will find, by clicking on the schedule, you will find a calendar of live workshops that you can attend. Now we try to do them at all hours of the day. You'll see many of these are East Coast time in the US, but you'll also see some that we do at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning for people in the Middle East, because we have a growing contingent in the Middle Eastern countries. And so we're doing more and more early in the day. Anyhow, here's the leadership series. Here's remote learning and digital assessments. Dee did one yesterday on virtual field trips. Here's tech tools in the math classroom. Here's one for early childhood educators on the power of play in the remote environment. How do you do gamified remote station rotations using solve in time, which is a special approach that we also share. And if you're a Spanish speaker, portfolios for students. And you can sign up for any of these, they're free. They're open as part of your subscription. So you just click it open, sign up now, and it verifies that you're a Linkspring user, and you'll be able to go and hop in and do that. But even better than that is Linkspring Live on demand. And this is all of the events that we ever offer. They're saved recordings and they're put back here. You'll see from February 1st, which was Monday, we did a whole bunch of them. Here's 5 check-in strategies for distance learning that Dee Lanier did. So if you want, you can click on that and you can go down here and review the recording. So in addition to 100-ish cycles and having a coach on demand all the time, to live events, to over 400 recorded events, there's just a ton of training to meet the needs of everybody. And as an individual, there's something here for you. So with that, that's my quick tour of Linkspring and Linkspring Live. And it's brought to you and made available through McGraw Hill. I'm going to stop now and answer questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen just for a minute so you can see my face in a little larger format. And I'll be happy to answer your questions for you and see what it is you'd like to know next.
I came across a very good question that I thought, maybe you could ask Scott, because when I started looking at the platform, I also had one of that question. I'm sure Asi already picked that up probably, but I wonder if you can if I can ask you that.
Sure, go right ahead.
So does LINC help with all subjects for all grades or specific subjects and grade levels?
Great question. So if you look through the catalog, you will find that there is content for all grade levels. There is stuff for early childhood, elementary, middle school, high school, all grade levels. You will also find that all of our cycles are pedagogically oriented. In other words, they're about teaching strategies. What you will not find is curriculum training. You won't find any standards based training in there, because it wasn't designed to be that particular. It's designed to be pedagogically focused. So this is about strategies. We assume you know your curriculum. We assume you know your standards. But we're looking at how do I build out the breadth of strategies that I'm able to use with my students. Now, that said, our partners at McGraw Hill are working on cycles that are related to Inspire Science and to Alex. Right now, they're building cycles that will be available soon in the platform. So if you have those products, you can go get additional training on those curriculum products. But generally speaking, you'll discover that all of the cycles are pedagogically focused. They're strategies. And so therefore they align to any curriculum. That was very intentional. So.
Thank you.
Somebody was asking about a certificate for the seminar, and I think Suresh, you said they just reach out to you to get one of those, right?
You'll get it on your email, yes. If you get the recording of this session, and you'll also get the certificate for this session as well.
Yeah. What else can I answer for you?
Yes, please let us know. If you have any questions for Scott, please let us know.
I know that you're wondering, what does this cost? And I can only ballpark it for you because I know that McGraw Hill is the reseller, so they will get with you about pricing. But the one thing that I do want you to do is I would like you to have a free account if you don't already have one. So I am going to share my screen one more time and show you how to get a free account, okay? And all you do, your school, normally we purchase in schools. You can't buy one at a time. You have to buy a minimum of 10. 10 is the smallest group. And we have through McGraw Hill site, McGraw Hill has individual pricing. So 10 or more, you can just buy for your whole school. If you're just going to buy for a team within your school, you can get 10 or 15 or 20 or 12, whatever you want. Just reach out to Suresh and Ahmad, and they'll forward you to the right folks. What comes with the free account? The free account I'm about to show you, you get about 10 cycles, maybe 20 cycles to play with. You can get in, you can talk to a coach if you want to talk to a coach, but you get in access to the Linkspring product. Also, during your demo, you can go to any of the live sessions. So if you want to see the live workshops, or if you want to go to any of the 400 recorded workshops, all of those are available while you have your trial account. Yes, it should be more than enough to decide if you're comfortable with the platform. So over here, you're going to go to linkspring.com. I'll see you follow me along here with the instructions in the chat, and go to linkspring.com. You haven't been there yet, so you've been on Link Learning, but linkspring.com is where you go for a sign up, and you're going to click on this dark button that says enter an access code. Fill out your first name and your last name. Let me grab this for you. I'm going to put this in the chat for you. There's your sign up link. Put in your first name and your last name and your email address and the password you'd like. And your access code is capital MH and then MEA in little in lowercase. So I'm going to put that also for you in the chat. That's your free access code. When you hit the register button, you are going to sign up for a free account. And it'll last 2 weeks. Okay. It'll give you 2 weeks of free access to Linkspring. Go in, try a cycle, try a couple of cycles. I really encourage you to attend our live workshops because our people are pretty awesome. I realize that many of them are late for you, but if you got the kids to bed and you want to take a late workshop, it's a great time to do that. They're often at 8 or 9 your time at night. But we do, like I said, we do offer them from time to time at early in the morning at 7 or 8 Eastern Coast time, which is the time we started this morning at 7, or this afternoon it was 7 Eastern time. So that will get you a free account. So because I do want you to have the opportunity to go in and play and try out this new platform.
Scott, there's a couple of questions in the chat, and I was trying to keep up with them. But yep. If you could address, someone asked a question that, we have very diverse classrooms in the international school, especially in the MENA area. Yeah. And how do you have any cycles that meet the needs of cultural diversity?
Yes. So there are cycles on culturally relevant pedagogy that are available. There's not one in the trial, by the way. I know that's not in the demo account. Because Dr. Ball's model was for culturally diverse classrooms, culturally and linguistically diverse classrooms, this approach allows you to customize think about the learning needs of each of your students from a diversity perspective. So the whole model is really aligned to that, but there are some very specific titles on how do I create high levels of differentiation in the learning process? How do I work with kids with special needs? How do I deal with language diversity in my classroom? How do I do culturally relevant pedagogy? All those kinds of things. So there's something for everybody in the platform. And if there's something that you feel like you really need and want that's not there, drop a message to coaches, because our coaches also write the content that's in the platform. And if you would like to see a new cycle, tell them, and they'll be happy to build it. We're always adding. We added, gosh, I think 50 different cycles last year. So please feel free to reach out to the coaching team and ask if there's something that you'd like to see that's not there. The other thing, and I didn't show you this, back just for a minute. If you go into Linkspring, I'm going to sign in, and I'm going to sign in as a school leader coach. And I go to cycles. I want you to notice that a new blue button appeared up here in the corner. Actually, a couple of buttons appear. One is assign this cycle. So if I'm in a cycle like this one, you'll see assign this cycle. This allows me as a school leader or a coach to assign cycles to people. But the other thing that I really wanted to point out was there's a button now that says create your own cycle. So any content that you want to create. So let's say your school is really doing something special around, we're trying to, really embrace the needs of linguistically different learners. Now you want to make some content on that. You can do that. And I'm going to go past this. This first form that you saw is the metadata for the cycle. And then this is what an empty cycle looks like, So you just go in and add your own Spark video. You can add your own reflection questions, your Tinker templates, your own Grow. You can add your own resources from the web and other additional videos and so forth that you'd like to add. But you do have the ability in the Linkspring platform to create as much custom content just for your school. You can make all you want. So there's no additional fees for that.
Thank you, Scott. There's another question, and this is a fantastic question. Someone said that in your Reflect, Tinker, Grow, why don't we have the next step after Grow? Where do we go from there?
So the great question. So remember, this is a cycle. So the cycle process is Reflect, Tinker, Grow, and the next step is Reflect. So it repeats. So it's Reflect, Tinker, Grow, reflect on what you want to do next. And so take action and go to the next cycle and think about how you're going to keep growing. Because remember, the goal ultimately is to help educators become pedagogical problem solvers. And the pedagogical problem solver is always reflecting on his or her practice, thinking about the needs of their students, thinking about what skills they need to grow next, developing themselves through a continuous improvement model. And so Reflect, Tinker, Grow, the next step is reflect. And remember, under Tinker, you're actually going to do it, remember? So it's reflect, Tinker, do it, try it, put it in action. So you've used this skill. Grow is how did it go? And then part of Grow is always, what are we going to do next? So it's a complete cycle and it just repeats itself.
Another great question. Will you be adding content for English language learners and second language speakers?
There are a couple cycles for English language learners in the platform already. And yes, we'll be continuing to add more. I'm speaking on Friday at the Nile TESOL event at 3 in the afternoon. So if any of you want to go through this process again, I will be speaking at the TESOL on Friday afternoon. So I invite you to come see more. We have a little longer time, so we're going to stop and do a couple interactive activities. But for the most part, it's an opportunity for you to learn more, particularly around language acquisition.
Right. And we are, I'm just going to add a little bit to that. We are also working with content creators for ESL contents. So we're looking forward to adding those. Nasir had a great question also. He said, is the content cycle creation model available for everyone in the platform? Nasir, that won't be available for you in the demo that you have.
The demo.
Yeah, not in the
and
trial.
It's only available to administrators or coaches on the platform side. Because otherwise, principals, you might find cycles you didn't know teachers were making, and they were in there and they were incomplete, or they didn't align with your school philosophy or policy and so forth. So that tool is available only to people that you've designated as coaches. Now, that said, if you have a master teacher and you want that master teacher to help coach others or to write cycles, you just email tech support and they will change their license from a learner license, it's free, to a coach license. And when they're promoted to the coach role, they'll be able to get those tools.
Okay, so we've had some wonderful questions coming in, and I was trying to answer, and I think I got most of them. If I missed your question, would you please let us know? And we're here to support you.
So many folks here today. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, it looks
As
like
we're wrapping up, I'd just like to share one last thing.
Yep.
So many thanks to Suresh and Hamad for inviting us today. I'm super proud and pleased to be here, and I know Asia is as well. The coolest part about being in education is working with educators, right? And in the middle of this worldwide pandemic, educators stepped forward to learn a ton of new skills. Many of you were thrust into remote learning and you'd never done it before. Many of you were trying out new pedagogies, you're trying out new software, you're learning as fast as you can to try to stay ahead of your kids who seemingly learn so fast themselves. I know in places where teachers were handing out meals because school meals weren't available. I know that there have been teachers delivering laptops and software and and internet access devices to kids' home. I'm just so proud to be part of the educator community. My wife's an educator, I'm a teacher educator, and we're just so thrilled and thankful for all that you do. And I know teachers and leaders never get enough appreciation or support. And so from my family and from my colleagues here, just a huge thank you to all of you for everything you're doing to make school an exciting place where learning makes a difference every day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's so nicely put, Scott. I couldn't have put it in a better way, to be honest. Such lovely words.
So here's how you stay connected, and make sure you reach out to Suresh and the team.
Yes.
To get your price quote for your school.
Because I think a lot of people are asking, how can we get in touch? How can we get in touch with what are the pricing or what is the demo? You can email me. I know we're joining in the Middle East, so there are quite a lot of diverse people who are joining because we are people who are coming in from Lebanon, from Saudi Arabia, from UAE, Qatar, Oman. So if you drop me a note where you're from, and I can connect you to the right learning consultant who can then take it forward from you and have a demo with you. We can align a one-to-one, so that's absolutely fine. Just drop me a line here. You will also get the recording of this webinar. A lot of people are asking for if they can have the recording. So we'll send it via email, the same email that you've logged in or registered from, and you'll also get the certificate for this webinar. And I guess that's pretty much it. I'm just looking at the chat, lots of queries. Oh, you're telling us which country you're joining from. Great. Lots of people.
Lots of them. They're all over the place.
UAE, Turkey,
Kuwait's in the house.
Lovely. This is great.
Iran, Syria. Wow. Fantastic. Well, you should know that LINC currently Linkspring serves in 11 different countries. And at our last conference, we had 2,000 people come, and they represented, what was it, Asia, 20 different countries around the globe? So.
Oh, no. We at Linkstream, it was 68.
68 different countries. So that's, yeah, can't wait to continue to work with all of you. Keep an eye on our website. If you haven't already gone to linklearning.com, make sure you sign up for our newsletter, because we do a free conference in the spring and in the fall that you can attend. There's no charge. It's absolutely free. And we'll dig in on all kinds of skills with each of you. So good to have you aboard.
Serge, there was one last question that I promised to answer, and I thought I'd let Scott share that, because I think there were a couple of other people who asked the same thing. What is the relationship between Cognia and LINC?
Oh, Cognia. So Cognia is an accreditation organization, and LINC is a partner with Cognia. McGraw Hill is our reselling partner, and Cognia is our accreditation partner. And Cognia, as you know, used to be Advanced Ed. It's the world's largest accreditation organization, and the three organizations work together to bring Linkspring to schools all over the globe.
Thanks, Asya. That was a very good question. I'm glad you actually covered that.
Happy to do it.
I think we've covered most questions, and I apologize if I missed one because they were going so fast, which is fantastic. I'm sure Sarish will be able to take care of any of those. And Sarish, we're both here to support you if you have any other questions later on for us to answer.
Thank you so much. You'll also have the follow-up email where you can type a question if you have any questions for us. So just watch out. We'll have your email addresses, so that's fine. We will be sending out to you the recording, the webinar recording, the certificate, and if you want to get in touch with the reps. So thank you so much. I guess that's all for today. We don't want to take more time than that was allotted to us. But thank you so much for your time, everyone, and joining us today.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.